Hello everyone, this is Locke Vincent from Co-Optimus, and we are talking about a game you might have heard of called Diablo 3. Now, Diablo was a game that was loved by some, hated by others. We enjoyed it here at Co-Optimus, but it wasn't without its flaws. The auction house was definitely a failed experiment. The loot system was kind of weird and fueled that auction house a little bit. Now with this expansion coming out, Reaper of Souls is here. Blizzard fixed many of these problems that the original game had. They added new content, new features, definitely improved the quality of life for players overall, and really has structured an endgame for those of you who can't get enough loot. Now first on the list of added features is the new Crusader class, a holy knight who wields enormous shields and flails.
Greetings. I am a Crusader of the Zakarum faith.
Crusaders are more of a tank archetype with the ability to taunt enemies into attacking them and a wealth of defensive abilities. While certainly as enjoyable as any of the other classes, we found that they particularly do well in co-op since they can keep enemies off range classes that excel in damage, such as the Wizard or Demon Hunter. Reaper of Souls also adds an additional act to the core campaign. Act 5 takes place in the Kingdom of Westmarch and is primarily concerned with a fallen angel named Malthael, who has decided that he'd like to wipe out all of humanity, and demonkind along with it, to end the eternal conflict. Now, these new zones in Westmarch are just beautiful, the bosses are challenging, and the world feels much more alive. Now, earlier acts in the game did contain some random events that would pop up sparingly, but now they are all over the place, many of them tying into the overall story. If you're thorough enough and speak to all of your crafters and followers, you'll be rewarded with events that cap off these particular storylines. You're also going to meet a new crafting NPC named Miriam the Mystic. Miriam is one of the keys to making your never-ending quest for loot a little bit easier. Get a sweet sword to drop, but one of its stats just isn't jiving with your character, Miriam will attempt to let you replace that stat with something more useful, switching something like vitality to strength, strength to intelligence, so on and so forth. You can only replace one stat per piece of gear, but you can keep trying to get that perfect stat roll for it until you're satisfied.
Men have always pursued me for my visions.
Now once a single character on your account clears Act 5, all of your characters get access to the biggest feature in Reaper of Souls, Adventure Mode.
Thank you for coming here. There are many bounties to undertake nearby.
Now in Adventure Mode, the entire game is open for you to explore or take on bounties. Bounties are quests to clear small dungeons, kill special named mini-bosses, cleanse cursed chests, or take on the game's major bosses. Adventure Mode contains a significantly higher concentration of enemies, champions, and elite packs. Once you complete a bounty, you'll receive a bunch of gold, more experience, and a new type of currency called a blood shard. Blood shards can be exchanged with a new vendor in town for mystery items. Once you clear all of the bounties in an act, you'll receive a Heraldric cache that contains a number of crafting materials, items, and even the odd piece of legendary gear. During your adventures, you'll also receive Rift Key Fragments that grants you access to Nephilim Rifts, another new addition in Reaper of Souls, which are challenging, randomized dungeon filled to the brim with elite monsters. Rifts have some surprising elements such as encountering a room filled with entirely treasure goblins, floors of adorable monsters from Whimsyshire, or even a fabled zone populated with bovine enemies. Who knows? Killing monsters in a rift fills up a meter on the screen, and once you fill that up, a random boss shows up. Kill this boss and you get a ton of loot and a pretty sizable stack of blood shards. Adventure Mode also allows for more co-op than simply playing the campaign together. Players can split up to complete bounties alone, but all players in the game get credit and completion for rewards. Since Nephilim Rifts require keys to open, it's more efficient to have as many players as possible in your game each time you open one, so everyone maximizes their loot potential. The Paragon System has also had a complete overhaul. While the Paragon levels are still accumulated after you've maxed your character level, rather than simply giving you a core stat upgrade and a boost to magic find, you'll now put points into a series of 4 skill trees to boost whatever your character might need. The points are now account-wide, so even your level 1 character can take advantage of your bonuses if you want. Aiding and organizing co-op are new social features such as clans and communities. Clans are more structured, with the ability to set officers, messages of the day, and so on. Legendary loot that drops for any player in your clan is broadcast to everyone to see and salivate over. All in all, Reaper of Souls does an admirable job in fixing many of the problems Diablo 3 had with longevity. Much like Lord of Destruction before it, a Diablo expansion has redefined the core experience and erased many of the concerns that once existed. About the only feature that players are missing from the Diablo 2 days is a ladder system, and Blizzard's already announced one is coming soon. For now, we'll be rifting with all of our friends in our new shiny Co-Optimus clan. Come and join us and engage in jolly cooperation.
No one can stop death.